Hey Rob.
Hey everyone, welcome to Rezolve.ai Demo Day. If this is your first time joining us, thanks for being curious. And if you've been here before, welcome back. We've got some things that you're absolutely going to love. I'm Rob, your host and guide through today's demo. And joining me is Manish Sharma, our co founder, and one of the few people who can actually explain Agentic AI without needing a whiteboard and two Red Bulls. Let's dive in. Let's start at the top. Agentic AI. What does that mean, and how is it different from all the Gen AI stuff we keep hearing about?
Yeah, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We are going to take you through the Agentic AI today and what it can do in IT support, right? So let me see if my Agentic AI will let me, my regular AI intelligence will let me go to the next slide. So what is Agentic AI, right? Um, First thing, people are talking about anywhere you go right now, you're talking about agentic AI. And I think for some people, it's not very clear what it is. And essentially, what it is from where you started from the generative AI era, this is a step up from there. Generative AI was great in terms of providing answers. And, we have all used ChatGPT, we know what it can do. While agentic AI has a little bit more capability in terms of reasoning. It can reason, it is more intelligent, therefore, it can take decisions and it can actually take actions. It's more action oriented. It's not just about giving answers, but it's more action oriented. So if you think about it, it was a natural evolution from where your regular AI was and generative AI was. But clearly it's the next AI. If you look at the evolution of AI, right? Till you know till for a while there was rules-based systems, right? I don't know how intelligent you will call them, but they were definitely great. They were doing solving some problem. And then we have machine learning and initial
Mhm.
NLP that came into the place. As a matter of fact, when we started this company, all we had was classical AI, which essentially was, you typically what you used to do, you used to put a question and you need to put an answer. And when the right keyword or algol will hit the question, then will give the answer, which is already pre-written. And the problem with that was it used to take a whole lot of time. You have to anticipate the questions that people are asking, right? Whole lot of problems there are. So when generative AI came in 2023, it was phenomenal. The moment in 2023 generative AI came, and the development was going on in generative AI before that, but it really hit the market in January. For you and me, it hit the market in January 2023, maybe December 2022. And it was phenomenal. It solved a lot of problems we had because in the older systems we had adoption like was questionable. There was too much effort required in knowledge management, right? Its intelligence was limited, and so on and so forth. And now with agentic AI, it takes the whole game to the next level, right? Not only it can provide great answers, but can take great actions too. As a matter of fact, I want to tell something here. When we started this company in 2017, even before that, I had a framework that I created back then. It was called Talk, Think, Act framework. And this was,
Talk,
I'm
think.
talking 2016. And this framework that we created was, our idea was that any solution should be conversational. It should be able to think and it should be able to act. Agentic AI is that. And we didn't have all of those components back then, right? We had barely, I mean, we had some level of conversational. The ability to think was very limited, and the ability to act was also very limited. And over a period of time, all these three dimensions have increased. And today, I can really say the vision that we started with, we are there. It's a solution that can talk, think, and act.
So let's talk Sidekick 3.0. What's going on behind the scenes? What makes it agentic?
So, if you're talking about real life, agentic examples, I'm going to give you a few examples, right? So, for example, if, for example, if you are two examples I'll give you that will help you understand the difference between generative and agentic. If someone comes and says, um, let's say you ask a question to a bot, right? And the bot provides an answer. Let's say bot has access to a knowledge source, and that knowledge
Okay.
source has very difficult. it's not an easy documentation. It's like a documentation that a technician can use, but not you and me. But if it's a generative AI, it will just go fetch that documentation and throw it at you, right? And say, here you go. And summarize the answer
Not going to do with
nicely,
that.
right? But Agentic AI is going to do different. It's going to look at and this has happened with me. That's why I give this example. Agentic AI will look at the knowledge and, look at your, understand your profile and say, I think this is too much for Manish. I don't think if I give him, go do this and root file and whatnot, this is not meant for him. It might
Sure.
take that judgment call and say, you know what, we are better off creating a ticket for Manish instead of helping him, giving him this knowledge because I don't think he can use it. This is a judgment call. This is a judgment call.
Mhm.
And this judgment call, agentic AI can take, but regular call will. This on the screen is another example. Someone is saying they're going through a low space. What the bot is doing is it's saying low space, huh? Let me check. Let me run a diagnostic on the laptop and actually confirm that you are low space. Because if you're not, which in this particular case it was not, then maybe that's not your problem. There's something else going on here. So this reasoning, this intelligence is the next level.
Excellent. So that's one great example, but let's make it even more practical. Can you give me another quick example of Sidekick making a smart human-like decision?
Yeah, I mean, here is what you're seeing on our screen is what we call explainability. There's a feature in
Okay.
our product called
What is that?
explainability, which kind of tells you why the generative AI took a decision that it took. In this particular case, I don't want to go into too much detail, but look at this piece here. It says flow overwritten by AI, right? Why is the AI overriding a flow? And there could be a lot of things behind it. But look at the AI reasoning. It is explaining to you what I did, why I did it. And sometime it might be not be the most obvious thing that you assume there, but it will have a good reason and you can understand it. This is truly going towards the agentic side where you have a whole lot of smartness built into the product.
Okay. Well, we've talked a lot. We're here for IT today, but come on, Sidekick's not just for IT, right? So where else in the enterprise are we seeing this big impact?
Yeah. So this is a common like C-level executive question where people are saying, listen,
Okay.
everyone is talking agentic till everyone last year, everyone was talking generative, like what's the deal? Where are we going to use it? And we did analysis on generative AI earlier. I'm sure it will largely apply to agentic AI also. But in terms of where are the opportunities, right? In an organization, when you look at IT, HR, sales, finance, operations, right? Different kind of activities and different kind of AI capabilities, right? Answering question, creating content, coding models, designing, right? Taking actions, next best action, right? These are different kind of capability where the product like ours will have. And this is what we found, right? So there's huge opportunity, as this makes clear, in the IT side. There are huge opportunity in HR. There are huge opportunities in operations. So there are some places where the bubble is pretty big, and that means
Okay.
that there's more benefit to be had, and then there are some places which are more niche.
Okay. Well, here's a really cool one. Let's talk dispatch optimization, a real use case. Let's look at how agentic AI helps streamline something that usually takes, well, let's say a lot of emails.
Yeah. So I'll explain. This is for a client of ours, and this is truly agentic. The reason I even
Mhm.
put this slide here was to show what agentic AI does, right? And like where is the use cases beyond IT or HR, which where will obviously we are going to rest of the presentation is going to be around IT, but beyond IT, where so this is a large organization which is in servicing their clients and they deal with routers and servers and whatnot. And what happens is when they send these they try to solve the problem remotely, and if they cannot, then they have to send it through to
Mhm.
send there. And what they were realizing was a lot of time the crew visit will fail. Why? Because the right server was not ordered, or right router was not ordered, or it has not reached there, or the timing was wrong, or the crew was wrong, right? Bunch of different reasons. Now, And sure, if you put a lot of energy and effort, you can make sure that every time that you're sending a crew is the right crew, but too much effort and energy, right? Human intelligence. What they did was they had us put an agent now which can do all the checks and make decisions and then make the recommendations to the supervisors, and supervisors then finally push the button, and that is resolving a lot of failure rates, right? Reducing the failure rate. This is a great example of an agentic AI, which is not necessarily IT directly, but very useful. So the point is that use cases like these are going to emerge throughout the enterprise for many enterprises, and it's going to become very interesting beyond just IT and HR in the organizations.
Let's talk employee support. The day to day. What does Sidekick look like for a regular employee like me? Who needs help?
Yeah. So the way it works is, so our product, just for the users and the people who are listening, there are two ways our product is sold. Either you can buy Sidekick, Agentic Sidekick 3.0, which is the
Mhm.
bot with automation and whatnot. And some of our larger customers typically above 5,000 employees or so, they have ServiceNow, whatnot, and we integrate with that. They use our Sidekick and they integrate with that. And then there are other customers which are buying our ITSM as well, which we call AITSM. So the way it works is when employee comes in via email, via Teams, Slack, mobile app, web, any of those channels, they're actually interacting with the intelligence of our product, Sidekick 3.0. And that product in turn is, figures out what to do to help them, right? Do I need to provide them an answer? Do I need to kick off a workflow? Do I need to create a ticket for them? Do I need to bring a live expert into the conversation? Do I need to give them an update or notification and
Mhm.
that will satisfy them? There are different variety of things that you can do here to help the person who's coming here. And that is what Sidekick decides and do. Of course, if they're buying our AI TSM, you also have our ITSM, which is smart, which has a lot of AI built into it. But if you're using ServiceNow, it will connect to ServiceNow.
Well, we talked a little bit earlier about agentic RAG, but let's revisit the brain. Are there any extra layers or insights into how Sidekick's RAG works?
Yeah. So there is something called RAG-based architecture.
What is that?
It's basically what happened when we started doing generative AI in 2023. There were two ways to do things. One way was it's called model fine-tuning method, where you just upload all your documentation into LLM and LLM will provide answers. That method was prone to hallucinations and ungrounded responses and basically not getting the accurate response, right? And it used to take time to, and it needed maintenance. But I don't know why, but 95 or 97% of the companies went with that model in the beginning because it was the obvious model. We went with a different model, which later on got to be known as a RAG model. And the RAG model, what happens is you have a RAG engine, retrieval augmented generation engine,
Okay.
which is our own piece of code, by the way. We are not using any external code, where you chunk this data and keep it into vector databases. And essentially, the roles of LLMs is limited. There's not LLMs are still play a very important role, but they are not doing everything. The heavy lifting is done by our RAG engine. So we have a RAG engine. We are among the very, very first companies in the world to have RAG engine. And using that RAG engine, was a traditional generative AI. Now, when you come to agentic AI, today in our product, there's 7 agents. Agentic 3.0 is made up of 7 individual agents. You don't have to pay for 7 agents. It's all part of the same agent. But just
That's right.
to kind of open the kimono and show you. So there are different agents expert in different things. They're doing different things and they're able to communicate with each other and you go with any kind of problem, they will figure out what to do. The front end guy is troubleshooting and triaging agent, and then there are a bunch of agents behind them. And I'm going to show some examples that'll make it clear to you how these agents are interacting and solving your problems.
Yeah, I was about to say we've done a lot of talking, but let's see it in action. I mean, how many times have we gotten a ticket that says, "Hey, man, our printer's not working"? I mean, let's talk about how we're going to cut these L1 activities completely. I mean, let's see that in action here.
Yeah. So, for example, if someone says my printer is not working, and by the way, for a lot of people who are seeing it, product works in Teams and Slack, right? So
Hmm.
all of what you're seeing is Teams and Slack, and you can have it in web as well. But essentially, it makes it very easy from accessibility perspective from a customer, right? So someone says my printer is not working, the bot gives an answer. The answer is coming from an external knowledge source, as you can see. It can also come from internal knowledge source. It clearly tells you where it is bringing the knowledge for. By the way, if you click on that link, you will reach to the external knowledge source from where the original source from where the answer is coming. And here you go. There's a happy answer. So think
That's
of
right. Powering on and off. Who would have thought? Who would
exactly.
have thought?
Right. So, and there are a lot of other examples. This was a single back and forth. But for example, if you say my laptop is not working, the
Hmm.
bot, like, what is the bot gonna say? Right? Tell me how. Like you're
That's
saying your
exactly
laptop is
right.
not working, but give me an idea about how is it not working. Then you'll go and say it's not working because of this reason. So it can do back and forth with you. It can have a conversation to figure out where the problem is. It is programmed in such a way that does not become an irritant. It is not asking you 20 questions, right? It is a limited number of questions. It quickly decides what it needs to do, whether it needs to create a ticket or it needs to do whatever with your request. It needs to bring a human into the conversation, all those kind of. So that logic is equivalent of what the logic is when you call someone, right? That's exactly what they're doing. And that has been replicated, and that's the troubleshooting and triaging algol that we have at our end.
And that's right. And that's what you're going to see here. When it's not a quick fix, how does Sidekick know when and how to escalate?
Yeah, so and there are different examples here. For example, there's a task automation example. Giving answers is really important and critical, but ability to take actions is also very important in any
That's right.
any kind of scenarios, right? So, for example, if you look here, you can add a person to a distribution list. Like you can just say, I want to add Rob to a distribution list, and it will help you figure that out. Why? Because it's connected to a bunch of graph APIs and even not Microsoft, non-Microsoft APIs as well. And it can get things done for you, right? So those kind of capabilities, not just to provide an answer, but to decide what action to take is a key differentiator, and it kind of it's one of the components of what makes the product more agentic in nature. There you go.
That's right.
So RAMP has been added to the distribution list, as simple as that, and it's done. Took you all of 2 minutes or something like that. And here, I think you did this, Rob. You're going and checking if
Did.
indeed you have been added to that distribution list or not. And looks like you have been. This is the James testing distribution list where
That's
we
right.
added you. And
And
if you
there I
go
am.
and look at it, and it all happens within seconds, right? There you go.
That's
There's
right.
Rob in this distribution list. I carrying on, couple of other features that everyone will like, approvals, right? Where you run any kind of workflow, you need approvals, right? Any kind of complex workflow. In most enterprises, you need approvals. And by the way, larger products like ServiceNow, they charge additional license fee for approval, people who can approve, right? It's a different kind of license. Here, we have all simplified it. You are trying to get something done. For example, here in this particular case, I think someone is trying to install a software, right, from the company, a certified softwares or something like that. And they're asking bot to help them, right? And what the bot is going to do is it's going to say, okay, this is the software request. Now, there are two things the bot can do at this point of time. It can either just install the software for you, right? We have capability to actually install the software for you. And sometime it can also ask for approval. Suppose the workflow needed some kind of approval, then it can do that as well. So
That's exactly.
look, in this particular case, it says approval required. And then what the bot will do is, I don't know if this video is doing that or not, but it will take your needs of why you wanted the approval to be, like, why do you need this software? There must be a reason for it. You have to justify what you're doing. And then it is
Hmm.
going to route this approval based on the approval metrics to the right person in the organization. And they can approve it right here in Teams. They don't need to go to a portal. They don't need to go to a third party. Like no, nothing complicated, right? Really, really simple. So here, I'm going to forward this a little bit. They created the request and
Hmm.
um, voila, this is the request summary, right? Do you approve it or not, right? You can approve a software or not. It actually, approval requests typically come to me, so it'll come to my side, but all the approvals are done on Teams.
So onboarding is one of the biggest workflows companies automate. Let's show how Sidekick takes care of that, like end to end.
Yeah, so if you're talking about larger processes like employee onboarding, employee offboarding, these can also be automated by Sidekick in our product. Of course, a typical employee onboarding can be 15-step process or a
Hmm.
31-step process. These are not just 3 or 4 API calls. They can be, 15, 20, 30 API calls, a single. And not only API calls, it might have approval dependencies. It might have, our product talking to a lot of other products to get things done. It might have to meet some business logic, right? Like you cannot do this unless until this thing has happened, right? So it's a sequence and event. And these kind of things can be set up either at the front end of our Creator
Hmm.
Studio, or you can set it up in our service catalog as a flow. There are a couple of different ways to do it, but this is how beautiful it looks, right? It's really intuitive in terms of how you're onboarding an employee. All of that is happening in Teams. Different kind of tickets will be created for different kind of people, and people will be chased to get things done, and systems will be called via API to get things done. So this is how employee onboarding and employee offboarding should really look like, instead of how most of the organizations end up doing. And it's not for them to blame. The current systems are just not up to the mark.
But how does Sidekick keep those employees updated or respond in real time when somebody needs help?
So there is announcement and live chat story, and what that means is you can broadcast messages
Okay.
to everyone. You can broadcast messages to some specific people, right? And you can broadcast the message to only, you can send a message only to one. So that's just plain notification. This is what you're seeing in the backend right now, how this is done. So let's say you're in a hiring situation and you are offering referral bonuses and whatnot. So you decided who this needs to go to. Maybe the entire company needs to see this. And voila, you just set up a broadcast. And now on the other side, what happens is this is how beautiful it looks like, right? Like this is the level of,
It is
I
nice.
really love it, right? Like this. So this is how you keep in touch. This is how you engage with your employees. Now this is broadcast, but there's also something you can also, by the way, people can do live chat as well. So let's say you're having a conversation with the bot and say, I need to talk to a human, right? Due to some reason, right? Not many live chat
Hmm.
requests come in our product, but there are some sometimes, right? Maybe that's something that they're asking is not supported at all. Then you can just say, I need access to this, or I need to talk to someone. And what happens is the bot is gonna go connect you to a person in the backend, a set of
That's
experts,
right.
if those experts are available. And on the left-hand side, what you're seeing is how the experts are available. And the experts will be pinged, and then they can say, oh, okay, someone is trying to reach out to me or my group. And then they can take the call if they want to, and then they're in business, they're talking to the end person. So think it from an end user perspective, right? They have instantaneous help using AI, but if due to some reason they do want to reach out to humans, and that's what the organization
Hmm.
wants, then that ability is also there.
So let's talk service catalog for a minute. We're in the back end now. Let's stay here for a second. Where employees can actually find and request the things that they need. Anish, what makes this catalog actually usable?
So service catalog is very interesting part of the complete ITSM story. And by the way, it's a very interesting part, but often not used much, or
Hmm.
not effectively used. It's used by the IT supervisors. They take the pain of creating great service catalogs and stuff like that. But people don't use that much, right? They instead make phone calls instead of going through a service that has been created by the by the company. So in our case, what happens is when you create a solution in in the service catalog, you create a service, for example, right? Let's say the service says, I want to move a printer, and maybe there's an example here somewhere later on that I can show you. But let's say you say you want to move a printer, right? That moving a printer service, you just need to define that in your service catalog, like who's involved, does
Mhm.
this ticket need to go, what are the information that you need for it, and that's it. There's no templates, etc. you need to
Nice.
create. The person, on the other hand, when they come and say anything like, I want to move my printer, or I have heavy equipment, I want to move, etc., it doesn't have to be exactly the same thing. The bot will know, oh, I think I know which service they are talking about, and I know how to what to how to handle and intake the information for that service, right? Why is this important? This is really makes the life simple for the employee and for the
Sure
technician.
does.
You get great tickets created at the back end, and you can just, there's no back and forth, there's no phone calls, there's no wait time and hesitation. There's no incomplete tickets that have been created, right? Like you get a smart ticket created and you can move on.
So, portals, emails, let's talk communication, updates, notes, messages. How does Sidekick keep it smooth between technicians and employees?
Yeah. So here, let's say you have a ticket, and I'm showing you, on the left hand side, the ticket technician view, and on the right hand side, the end user view.
Okay.
Technician, let's say, is going through a ticket, and by the way, they can read a smart summary of the ticket, so they don't have to read the entire ticket. And then let's say they have a question. Still, they have a question for the end user. So they just need to write the question, and guess where that question goes? It can, most of the products send it in an email, and nobody reads email, and therefore it's dead. And therefore, someone needs to make a phone call to chase the employee down for the clarification that you wanted. But here, what's going to happen is you're going to send this note. By the way, AI can help you improve your note, by the way, right? So if you write a partial note, AI can help you improve it. And then this note comes to the other side in Teams to the employee. An employee can look, hey, the technician reached out to me for my request. Looks like they have a follow-up question, and they can now reply to this follow-up question, and
Mhm.
then that reply is gonna go back to the technician, and it will go to the notification. You see this a small mark. When I go to the backend, I'm going to show everyone. There's a there's a notification pad. So every time you send a notification, the technician gets to know that there's a new notification. And
That's right.
there's a bell mark here, and they can look at the notification and go on. So really, what we are trying to
Ah,
do
I jumped
is,
the gun. There's that
oh,
beautiful bean footage.
yeah, this is the smart service catalog video that I was talking about. But just to finish the last conversation, you can do back and forth via Teams, right? As an employee, you don't need to go beyond team to have a conversation with the technician.
Mhm.
You can stay in Teams and have a conversation, and that's perfectly fine. This is, by the way, the video. Let's watch it. So the technician or supervisor is creating a ticket. This is a
Mhm.
ticket for intake of, complicated, some heavy equipment that employees should not be doing themselves. And look what happens. This is so far standard service catalog stuff, right? Standard, but there was some AI components there too. But look what happens. Now when the moment service is created, when an employee goes and asks for anything related, see what happens. So the person said, I want to move a printer. The bot asked follow-up questions, right follow-up questions. The person gave 3 out of 4 information. The bot persisted and asked the fourth question because this is a required field at the service catalog level. and then it summarized your request, and then it says thank you, right? And you can write things like today, I need it today, and it knows what date it is. You don't need to interpret today as I said. It figures all that out. So that part is really, really interesting.
All right. Well, now
All
we're
right.
getting
Well,
into
now we're getting into
knowledge, man.
knowledge, man.
This is where
Yeah.
Sidekick really shines.
Yes, knowledge management is very important in any IT help desk, right? And the reason is very clear, isn't it? Because if you have the right knowledge, you can deflect at least 15 to 20% of the tickets.
Mhm.
15 to 20% of tickets will go away if you have the right knowledge. And none of us, right, had the right technology for a while. And the legacy ITSMs still don't have the right technology with them on how to manage the knowledge management using generative AI and agentic AI. It's really simplified. So in our case, we can connect to different knowledge sources, internal and external, right? You can point to SharePoint, document, ServiceNow, IT Glue, Box.com, knowledge articles, etc., etc. On the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, external knowledge sources, anything that you want to connect to, right? You can even connect it to internet if you want to. I not recommend it, but you can if you want to. So you have internal knowledge sources and external knowledge sources. Internal knowledge sources will be employee handbooks and some technical documentation and past knowledge articles. But external could be just something like support.microsoft.com or support.google.com or stuff like that, right? So with a combination of external and internal knowledge, you are really covered. Your employees can come and ask anything. And literally what you manage to do is to make your enterprise knowledge accessible to employees via Teams or
Mhm.
via Slack or something like that. You have unshackled the knowledge and given it to them instantaneously and very easily digestible. And by the way, in our new version of our product, they can get images too, right? So
That's right.
there's a new here that we are releasing where if you have knowledge articles in ServiceNow, the images will come in from there too.
So, what if the answer doesn't exist, Manish? How does Sidekick help create and capture it?
Yeah. So if the knowledge does not exist, then what you do is here, let me show something to you. You're going to go back to your knowledge management. This is the back end of our product, right? And you're going
Mhm.
to go to, by the way, this is how you can upload the documents. You can just go here and upload a document in our product. 30-40 seconds within uploading a document, the bot will be able to answer a question. That's it. That's all it takes. Upload a document, 30-40 seconds, the product can answer the questions. You can go to, by the way, you can point it to SharePoint as well. So I think the next step, they will show you how you can just connect to SharePoint, easy peasy. You can connect to, external websites. So there's the external
Mhm.
websites. You can connect to external websites. You can connect to knowledge articles. So this part is really interesting. Let's say you said, what if there's no knowledge on that topic? What
Mhm.
you're going to do is you can ask, oh, sorry, I think I moved it. You can ask AI to create a knowledge article for you from certain source. So for example, if you are a CISO of an organization and you want to write a security article, and let's say there's an organization in, I think there's some particular websites that they really like to go to. NIST, I think, is one of them. And NIST has some information and you want to create a policy document using NIST. So all you're going to do is tell the knowledge article creator, go to NIST and write an article about this, and it will write that article for you. And then you can edit it and make it your own, right? Because you want to customize it. And once you create it and customize it, the bot can answer the question right away. So now you don't even have to, the heavy lifting of creating knowledge articles, you don't have to do. You just have to point it to the right source and say, I want to create, maybe you don't want to ingest the entire website, right? Maybe that's not what you want to do. You want to create a specific knowledge article there. Not a problem. You can point it there and you can create a knowledge article.
Well, let's take a look at our ITSM flow.
Okay, so let's
Yeah.
go show people what a product looks like. And so we're already talking about the knowledge management. I think that's a
Mhm.
piece that everyone just saw. You can upload documents, you can point to SharePoint, you can go to external website, you can write knowledge articles, brand new knowledge articles. You have something called knowledge gaps, which you'll find very, very useful, which will
Huge,
tell you
huge.
Exactly, right? Where the product, where your knowledge is not sufficient, where people are not happy with the knowledge, where the
Hmm.
bot is giving an answer which is probably not, appreciated by people. What is happening? How do you fix it? How do you explain it? How do you understand it? All of this is here. This is very, very smart, and I've not seen too many products having this. Now, if you go to ticket management, by the way, you can go to this virtual agent management. There's a creator studio here, which is where you build all your automation. So the automations will be built here. So you
Hmm.
can go here and any kind of automation. If people have used Power Automate or something like that, this is Power Automate plus plus. So it's more advanced, more
Plus,
easier to
plus.
use.
That's right. That's right.
I've seen service I've seen ServiceNow's Creator Studio as well. So you're in the right place if you have this product, is all I'll say. You have your if you go to your ticket management here, you have incident management, problem management, all
Hmm.
those kind of things. Right here, you can create any kind of ticket. By the way, you also have notification wall. This is called notification wall, where if you're a technician, anything new that will come in will come from here, and you can say reject it, and I want it. If any live chat is coming in, that will
Hmm.
be intimated about how many tickets are on you. I have not been working on my tickets lately, so I see
No,
342 tickets have accumulated for
no, he
me.
has not.
So I got to work harder. Maybe I need more AI support or whatnot. And then there is a service catalog here that I was talking about, which is very, very advanced. You will not find a
Hmm.
service catalog like this in the market. Um, you can set up metrics and SLA. You can create workflow. You can create a dashboard. You can decide which actors are going to play into this workflow, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of features here. Impossible to go through all of them. But yeah, so and if you want to see the dashboards. There's a very advanced dashboard. I think we are supposed to cover dashboard a little bit later.
We
Not
are.
this
Yep.
one. I don't think this one has any dashboards in it. But there's a whole dashboards category where we manage all our dashboards. And basically, each clients get a data mart of their own. And uh, in our huge data warehouse, each clients kind of get a data mart. And it's a very Power BI kind of, product where you can click on things and automatic filters will be set and so on and so forth. So very advanced. And finally, I want to say a lot of these features are going to get even more advanced because we are
Yes.
infusing GenAI into that, right? So, for example, we are saying, yes, you can look at a dashboard here, but what if you can ask the bot, say, tell me which technician solved most number of problems last week? Boom.
Hmm.
Or tell me the MTTR, and the bot will just bring that information to you. You don't even need to come to a ticket dashboard to look at it. That's where we are going. We are not there yet, but we are going there.
That's right.
But it's a very exciting product. In terms of asset management, we integrate with external asset managements. Any asset management we integrate with, but Snipeit is one of the common ones that we integrate with very readily. But you can use any of those, right? You can use Manage Engine, you can use any of those asset managements, and we can integrate with that.
Just to circle back to the slideshow, Manish, I'm stubborn. I've been using email for years to submit my tickets. I'm not about to change. Not everyone uses chat. Email's still big. How does Sidekick read, understand, and respond to email?
Yeah. So here's the deal, right? I think you brought a very important point about adoption. So before
Hmm.
generative AI, the adoption was a challenge. Okay. Let's not kid ourselves. Before generative AI, adoption was a challenge. Now it's not, right? And what we are seeing is, but despite that, there will be some 20% people in an organization who are not going to change. They will do exactly what they were. I'm not saying you're part of that 20%. I don't think so. But but what I'm saying is there's some people who will do what they're doing, right? So if they're comfortable writing
That's
an
right.
email, they'll write an email. So therefore, your emails also need to become smarter, right? They should not be like legacy ITSMs. They should be smarter. And that's exactly what happens in our product. You can shoot an email and you'll get an email response back from the bot, which would have read your email. It would have created a ticket if needed. It would have give you some knowledge articles if you need to, very customized. It's not like one of those standard out of the box, email thing. It's very, very, very smart. And this is the additional feature that we have.
So great. Listen, we talked, to the let's talk savings. Let's talk about where the real savings show up and about how up to 70% of the tickets are being deflected. All the activities are being deflected automatically. How are we getting there, Manish?
Yeah. So it's up to 70% and it's not instantaneous, just as a qualifier, I must say. It's not like day one you buy our
Hmm.
product and tomorrow morning 70% of your tickets will go away.
Yet.
I don't think so, right? But but I'll tell you how what people achieve. People are able to achieve with go live around one third of the tickets going away,
Hmm.
right? And then beyond go live, if you keep working on your automation and you keep either taking our help or build it yourself, doesn't matter, then you can reach 70%. And I'll tell you how.
Sure.
So look at this. This is a broad back of the envelope kind of calculation, which typically works for most organizations. Your knowledge-based issues are typically can be resolved. If you have good knowledge and instantaneous knowledge, the kind of knowledge that we have, you can, brush off around 20% of the tickets. Another 30% of the tickets are simple automation like password
Hmm.
resets and whatnot, right? You can either reduce them or eliminate them. And by the way, the green or the color there that is it is for L1, and then the yellow one is L2, and then the third component is process automation, right? And process automation is process. When I say process, more complex than tasks. You're talking employee onboarding, employee offboarding. The
Hmm.
volume is lower, but the effort is more. But typically, 15% more can go away. And then, and some of these can, some of these cannot, right? So, but this is the typical distribution here, right? So if you leave the last 25% or 30% aside, right, there's a huge amount of tickets that can eventually go away. And I think, I'll be honest, this is the future that everyone is looking at, right? Different people will reach here at different time and different products. Some products might not reach here at all, but those products will die, right? But this is the future where we're heading, where a lot of L1 activities, especially, are going to go away. They're going to get eliminated. And there's no question in my mind about that.
So show me the real difference between traditional or legacy ITSM compared to what Agentic ITSM is doing here. What does Sidekick bring to the table today?
Yeah. So, as I was showing you different capabilities of agentic, it must be clear that, if you look at the L1 activities, specifically, I'm narrowing down on L1 right now, taking phone calls, taking emails, reading the emails, creating ticket out of them, troubleshooting and triaging, initial, right, password resets, ticket creation. These are the kind of
Okay.
activities that L1 is doing today, right? And, you know, on the right hand side, the only thing that we don't do right now is taking phone calls, right? Our product doesn't take phone calls today, right? But apart from that, pretty much everything, most of the activities can be done on the right hand side. So therefore, and the phone call part will also, come in our product at some point this year. The
That's
point
right.
I'm trying to make is that you're reaching a future where L1 activities are going to get eliminated and you're going to get more escalations to L2. You will be able to spend more times on the more complex tickets which need your attention. You're not going to be running behind all the time. You're going to meet your SLAs. Your MTTR are going to be great, and your customers are going to be happy because they're not wasting their time trying to figure out how to get basic stuff done or getting stuck in missing their deadlines and whatnot.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about Creator Studio, but we didn't really get into the dashboard. Let's talk dashboard and see how admins and teams can really see what's
Yeah,
going
I mean,
on.
so dashboard was, the same thing. There's a complete dashboard, like I said, which is like a data mart. Each customer gets
Hmm.
their own data mart, and you have a Power BI kind of interface using which you can click, 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 and get any idea. And this is more advanced, by the way. Reporting and dashboard is so critical for managers, right? Because they are always interested in figuring out if they have the right um, because they have to make reports, right? They are supposed to, do weekly and monthly reports and whatnot.
Hmm.
And not only it's not about just making reports, it's about having the right insights, right? And our product is much more advanced than any other product in that space. And not to say that Where we are going to go with this is where everything will be conversational. You will be able to ask your bot about some information and it'll just give you that information. That's where we headed.
Right.
It'll take us a few more months maybe to reach there, but that's where we are headed.
To agree. Now, listen, I want to talk about something even more exciting. It's been what I've wanted to talk about all day long, and that's the great migration. I hear that there's a shift happening. Some, people are moving away from older SaaS native platforms to agentic native ones. Let's talk about
Yeah.
what's driving that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, generative AI is not easy. Okay. So
Okay.
a lot of people thought when it came in the picture, a lot of CTOs thought, I can just do it myself. How difficult could it be?
Okay.
And it is difficult. And to make a product out of generative AI is even more difficult, right? Like maybe you can get a POC out of it and do some things, but products are nuanced. Products in general are nuanced. You have to think of so many edge cases. You have to think of so many use cases. It should be seamless. You have to think of experience and, you have to mull over smallest of detail. And that is therefore a lot to ask from any of the legacy systems to say, hey, everyone is moving to Gen AI. Can you also put Gen AI in your product? Two problems. One, the vision problem. When they think of Gen AI, they think of a chatbot, is what they're thinking. Let me put a chatbot in front of my product, and maybe that'll solve my Gen AI problem. So they don't have the right vision. The right vision here is ticket deflection instead of ticket management, right?
Okay.
And it is not easy. So they get it wrong at the vision level and then they cannot execute the technology. Both the things are going wrong for many, many products. I was just talking to a customer a few days ago, which are using a very large, very modern SaaS product. It's a modern SaaS product. And they can figure this thing out. Right. So therefore, the where we are headed with this is that some companies will not be able to transition well to the new one. You saw ServiceNow had to acquire Moveworks recently, which is one of our competitors, because it's presumably because they thought better to buy a product than to build it themselves. Although I'm sure ServiceNow has no dearth of employees that they can hire. They can hire 1,000 Gen AI engineers tomorrow morning if they wanted to. So so I think there's a great migration that is going to happen. Some products will make it to the GenAI world, many will not. And in
Mhm.
that case, the migration is not only for the product companies which are trying to go, but also for the customers. Some customers will wait for their products to give you them the feature that they want, and some will not. And some will wait for a little bit and realize that their company cannot do that, and they will move on to the newer platforms like that. So there's a huge next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see a lot of existing companies shrinking and not able to survive and new players emerging who are stronger and better because they are Gen AI native and agentic native as opposed to SaaS native.
Okay, well, back to Sidekick for just a minute. Sidekick doesn't just summarize these tickets. I'm hearing that it reads tone, mood, and sentiment, and it's adding a
Yeah.
layer of understanding that's making a real difference. Why don't you talk about that for a second, Manish?
Yeah, exactly. And this is related back to the dashboards and reporting that we're talking about. Generally, you capture data, right? You don't capture sentiment, right? Nobody's telling you, yeah, you can run a survey, but you have to run a survey, right? Here, we are capturing not only a smart summary of the ticket, is also gonna tell you whether it's a positive feedback, it's in the red, it's in blue, it's green. Where is that ticket sentiment wise? Just imagine the power that you have if you know the sentiment of your customer or pulse of your customer. That takes the whole thing into a whole different ball game, and that's what we are able to achieve with this product.
So, what if I just don't know what's going on in my service desk? What if I don't know where the savings are? What do we have for that?
Yeah. So many service desk managers, right, or IT operations leader, they know a lot about their picture. But if I ask them a very specific question, if I say, tell me the third biggest opportunity for your automation, they probably wouldn't know
Okay.
it. They might know the topmost, but they will know with the data that which is the third biggest opportunity, the fifth biggest opportunity, the fourth different pain point for the employee. They wouldn't know that level. Why? Because nobody knows. Nobody can read thousands of tickets and then remember all the information and then create great charts out of it and figure out what to do. Well, guess what? Generative AI can. So what we offer is something called DeskIQ. And DeskIQ means that you can ingest, eat the tickets, right? We can eat the tickets, old tickets that you have. If you give us your old tickets, our system will eat it up, and it is gonna give you results. It is gonna scan those tickets using generative AI and then give you some very interesting results, including, hey, how much your tickets you can automate, and what is the knowledge gaps that you have, and all those kind of things. So this is a great exercise if you are an organization which is looking at moving towards better, and first you want to figure out where you are. This is a good thing to do. You can just take a DeskIQ exercise with us, and our generative AI algol is going to eat up your tickets and spit out some great numbers that you can use, and you can build your business case on the basis of that and all that. So it's a very powerful tool.
Well, listen, before we wrap up and head into Q&A, we've got something pretty exciting cooking this summer. It's going to be the summer of ITSM trade-in, and
Yes.
Manish, talk about it a little bit.
Yes. So this is the summer of ITSM trade-in. So we are going to do a big uh, uh, you know uh, push, and we are going to do a, just like any other trade-in, if you remember trading in your cars and whatnot.
Hmm.
So this is the trade in and trade up, and this is to make your life easy. This is to make sure that you can go on a vacation and have some fun. But yeah, on serious note, we are going to give in a lot of goodies for first 50 qualified businesses who will take this, and you have to be qualified. There are certain qualification criteria.
Hmm.
But yes, we are going to make your transition easier. We are going to, the more details will come out about this. This is going to start on May 1st, and it'll go on till 31st August. This will be for the entire summer, and this is going to give you, potential customers great opportunity to throw their existing legacy ITSM and move into a very modern ITSM.
That's right. If your current platform feels like it belongs in a museum, or if you've been waiting for the right time to move on to something smarter, this is it. But
Yes.
listen, we are at the end here. This is a wrap. Drop your questions in the chat. We're here live. We would love to answer your questions. We really would like to take an opportunity to thank you for being here and letting us show you what agentic AI can really do. Manish, any closing remarks?
Yeah, I mean, we get a lot of reach outs every day from throughout the industry, and anyone who has attended this, if you have any questions, you want to book a meeting, go ahead, book a meeting. You want to find
That's
out
right.
about our promotion, reach out to us. We'll be happy to talk to you. Want to go into more details, understand what is agentic AI more, or play with the product, we are happy. We are here to help you, right? And I think if you are here, that means you are interested in this topic. You're interested in thinking about where the future is taking us, and we are happy to collaborate with you.
That's right.
All right. Well, if there are no questions, we are
Mhm.
happy to take any questions. But if there are no questions, then we can wrap up the today's session. Sometimes we get the questions offline. We're gonna give it
That's
one
right.
more minute.
Excellent. It's been a pleasure,
All right.
everybody.
Now, thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate your time.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.